we got a title drop with this episode of Blue Exorcist. Can we all just take a moment to say that Mephisto, that man is pretty much the audience when it comes to watching an episode of Blue Exorcist. This man is just leaning back, sitting in a chair, floating way above everything, and he's just watching the entirety of what's going on in this arc. He's watching shit go down, he's watching the Impure King about to go on his rampage, the barrier coming down, and he's just leaving his little sarcastic comments here and there, just talking about what's going on, while he's just having a kick out of it or laughing his ass off. Just, Mephisto, I feel like he was put in as the audience. Like, we can relate with him and say, like, oh, he is the audience right now. What he is saying, what he is doing, is kind of what we as the audience are thinking while we watch an episode of Blue Exorcist, and it's pretty fucking funny when you really think about that. But regardless of all that, though, let's just say that props to this episode and the writing of this episode for making something that obviously would usually piss me off when it comes to like a somewhat of a power-up when it comes to shonen, and make it to where it is tasteful. So let me explain. So Rin, he was able to defeat the Impure King, and the way the scene was done, like the entire writing of it, is pretty much he got a power-up and he managed to defeat the Impure King. However, thanks to the way it was written, I can stomach the way the Impure King was taken down. It didn't feel like it was forced. It didn't feel like it just honestly came out of fucking nowhere and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? How can he defeat this man? It didn't feel like that. Even though it was a power-up, I am actually satisfied with what I saw. And the reason for that is because of the entire focus of what Season 2 has been about. Now, let's think about this, okay? One of the big things about Season 2 of Blue Exorcist is control. And what I mean by that is Rin learning to control his flames. One of the big things about this season is that Rin, he wanted to gain the trust of everyone. He wanted everyone to believe in him once again, to realize that he is not a monster. He's not someone that wants to hurt people. He doesn't get a, thrill out of that. He wants to be a good dude that has his friends believe in him. And so because of this, the entirety of the season has been about trust and him being able to control his flames. Not become more powerful, but being able to control his flames. Because right now, Rin is pretty powerful. Like, he does have a lot of strength and all that, but overall, though, he needs to be able to control and manipulate his flames where it cannot hurt his friends. And so, since the entirety of this season of Blue Exorcist, Season 2 has been about Rin trying to gain control, him defeating the Impure King thanks to control, I could sit with that. I can live with that. I don't feel like I'm disgusted after seeing the Impure King taken down because of the way that was written. Now, I do think that the way he got a power boost, we know that Rin is powerful, but he got to learn a spell thanks to this spirit, this demon that latched onto his sword, and he was able to use the power. So, in a way, he did kind of get a power-up, but overall, though, from everything that was already previously established with Rin's character, him being able to beat, the Impure King doesn't seem like it's far-fetched, and it's just way out there. So, I can, like I said, I can stomach how Rin defeated the Impure King. So, I just want to say, props to the writer of this series to be able to write Rin like this and allow him to get a typical shonen cliche, but make it in a way that, honestly, like I said, wouldn't piss me the fuck off. And that is something I truly appreciate while watching this episode, just seeing Rin stand up to this Impure King, but also being able to control his flames. And what made me even happier with it was that once everything was said and done, like it was GG to the Impure King, he was dead as fuck. After that, Rin, he closes his sword and all that, and he turns around, and the first facial expression we see of him is a face of just being a kid. Like, he's just so happy, and you see how his face, he's just like, I did it! I did it! And he's just so happy, and I'm like, yo, that is so nice to see, because ever since the beginning of Season 2, he's constantly been worried, he's been scared of himself, and then now seeing that how he was able to somewhat control it, you just see it in his face the way he expressed himself, that he was just so happy to be able to make some progress, and because of this, he managed to make some progress with him accepting his other self, his demon side. Instead of just being a human, he was accepting his other half. Now, I do like what was said in this episode and what it hinted at for the future of Blue Exorcist. Apparently, there's going to come a time in the series, it was like foreshadowing, obvious foreshadowing is obvious, that there's going to come a time to where Rin is going to have to choose what he wants to be. He's going to have to choose one or the other side. For instance, his human side or his demon side. And that is something that was mentioned after the fight, and you're thinking like, okay, for this to be mentioned, obviously this is going to be a critical plot point in the future of Blue Exorcist, so obvious setup is obvious. Now, speaking of the demon side and the human side, another little thing that really made me enjoy the Impure King and how he got taken down was that Rin, he was wrestling with himself. He was figuring out how he could stop his demon side from taking over. When you saw that scene when he had this power just coming out, and you saw the power, he could take down the Impure King, he was still having his own internal struggle. He was figuring out, can I go any further than this? Can I use my power? He was having that conflict within himself because his demon side wanted to take over and just go on a rampage while he was using his human side to keep it in control. And I love how he was fighting within himself, trying to figure out what he needs to do. And eventually, thanks to him remembering his friends and remembering all the trust they're putting into him and how, you know, they believe in him and all that, that's how he was able to overcome that situation. So even though it was a friendship power-up, it doesn't feel like a fucking ass pull. It actually feels tasteful. It feels like something that actually fits with this fucking scene. It actually sticks. It doesn't feel like, oh shit, it come out of nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck is this shit, shitty writing? It didn't feel like that. It felt like it was, you know, written in very nicely, and you could actually appreciate the way the episode was done. So, yeah. Blue Exorcist, this episode. Good episode. I'm excited to see what happens next. I know that the series supposedly is only going to be like 12-something episodes, so it's going to be ending soon, which kind of sucks, actually. So, yeah, I mean, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How did you feel about this week's episode of Blue Exorcist? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.